Hello and a very warm welcome to another edition of Talking Germany, the show where we do just that. And my guest today is a woman who's a very big name here in Germany, having carved out a successful career for herself, both as a singer and as an actress. And here she is, Anna Loos.
Hello.
Anna, thank you very, very much for joining us on Talking Germany. Now, Anna is going to tell us all about her career and her very interesting life that has been, I think it's fair to say, a bit of a tightrope walk between the two Germanys, West and East. What are we going to begin with? Are we going to begin with Anna Loos, the actress, or Anna Loos, the singer?
With
both. Or with what's in between. Anna Loos, the person.
Anna Loos, yeah. Well, look, let's talk about Anna Loos. One little problem I have here is that when I open a magazine or a newspaper at the moment here in Germany, nearly every day there's a picture of you, of Anna Loos in it, either you or with your husband, who's quite well known. We might talk about him later, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's begin with Anna Loos, the actress. Mm-hmm. Give our foreign viewers, the people outside Germany who don't watch much German TV, give them an idea of what you've been up to in your acting career.
Oh, and das ist schwierig von sich selber.
It's hard to talk about yourself like that. I studied acting and then began to work at the theater. But I quickly discovered a passion for film. I love working with the camera and with film scripts. And I love all that shooting stuff, almost more than being on stage. I don't act on stage as much anymore, just sometimes. A few years ago, I did it for a year, 270 stage performances, and it is exhausting. And it is a very different job. I think I'm someone who only gradually got to where I am now. I've always been blonde with a big mouth. And when I started, I always played the dumb little blondes. And now I've worked up to the level of playing characters. But it's been a long road.
Let's go back to the beginning, Anna. You had singing lessons at the age of 12, yeah? We heard in that report. And you I think you had some opera training as a real youngster. And then you had a punk band in East Germany. Yeah? Many people outside Germany will be very surprised. A punk band in East Germany?
Well, we weren't anywhere near as famous as Silly. We were the sort of band that plays in cellars. I played guitar and sang. I've learned a bit of guitar since, but at the time I couldn't play at all. It was just 5 chords and a bit of screaming. But the songs meant something.
How old were you at that time when you had this band?
I was 12.
12? Yeah. And listen, by the time... this was all in the town of Brandenburg, where you grew up in eastern Germany. By the time you were 17, yeah, which is a very young age, you left East Germany. Yeah. You left your family, you left your hometown. That must have been very difficult.
Well, at first it wasn't hard at all, because I had a really powerful reason to. It was around that time when you finished school, and I wanted to do something with my life, just as any other young person does. I wanted to get my university entrance diploma and maybe study music, or perhaps medicine. And I was very good at school, even though I was lazy, and they wouldn't let me take the exam. In East Germany, everyone had to go to a job counseling session at the town hall where they told you what you were allowed to do. In my case, it was work in a day nursery or a kindergarten, physiotherapist or seamstress. That's when I thought, okay, if that's what my future is going to be, I don't want it. So I've got to get out. That was when I was in puberty, when you're really egocentric, and I didn't think much about leaving my parents, my friends, my hometown.
But you must have looked your mother in the eye and thought, this is the last time I'm going to see her. I'm going over the wall.
Ja, das stimmt. Aber
Yes,
ich war
I did.
sehr trotzig und
But I was
wütend
very
und auch sehr
stubborn
naiv.
and angry and also very
Und,
naive.
ich habe das, glaube ich, schon,
I
als
think
ich im
once I was in the
Westen
West, I did regret it a
auch ein
bit.
bisschen bereut, weil meine Eltern, ich liebe die über alles.
I
Ich
love
komme
my
aus einer
parents
ganz
above
tollen
everything
Familie,
else.
die
And
sehr
I come from a
brav sind,
great
sehr viel
family,
Liebe haben
very
und die
warm and loving.
mit allem gerechnet haben,
And
nur
they
nicht
were
damit,
prepared
dass
for
ich
everything,
sozusagen sie anlüge
just
und
not that I
auskomme.
would lie to them and
Okay,
leave
was
without
ich
telling
sage,
them.
so, das habe ich ja gemacht, um
I
sie
did
zu
it to
schützen.
protect them, and it
Aber
did hurt a lot afterwards, but not before.
hat mich danach
Beforehand, I
schon
just
sehr
thought, I've
viel
got to get
geschmerzt,
out.
Aber davor gar nicht. Also davor habe ich wirklich nur gedacht, ich muss hier weg.
You're laughing there. What are you laughing about, Anna?
Ich muss immer
The
lachen,
video
weil ich
always
das
makes me
Video sehe,
laugh.
weil es
I think
so
it's really funny.
super lustig.
That's sweet. I think that's nice. That is from your album Alice Wrote, Everything
Yeah.
Red, which has gone gold, yeah?
Yes.
Congratulations. When was that?
Jetzt vor
Just
kurzem, also
recently.
wir haben
We had a
letzte
concert
Woche
in
ein
Berlin
Konzert
last week
gegeben
in
in Berlin
Spandau
an der
Citadel,
Zitadelle und haben
and
über
we sold more than
7000 Tickets
7,000
verkauft,
tickets,
was
which
für
was
uns
crazy.
Wahnsinn war.
And we were given our gold album
da
there.
haben wir sozusagen das Goldalbum überreicht bekommen.
Okay. And when we talk about Silly, we have to talk about Tamara Dance, because you haven't replaced Tamara Dance. There was Silly with Tamara Dance, and now there's Silly with Anna Loos, yeah?
Yeah.
But she was a legendary figure, yeah, in East Germany. Did you meet her?
Nein, also
No,
nicht privat.
never
Ich habe die
privately.
Konzerte natürlich besucht.
I went to
Also
the
ich habe sie
concerts,
sozusagen
of
auf der
course, and
Bühne
saw her
gesehen als
singing on the
Sängerin.
stage,
Sie war
and she was
schon
this
eine
incredibly strong
unglaublich
person.
starke Person.
She really was something special.
Also sie war wirklich was wahnsinnig Besonderes. Und sie
And
ist
now
ja
it's some
vor jetzt
15 years since she
mittlerweile 15
died.
Jahren
A
gestorben,
long time
also
already.
sehr lange Zeit her.
And the band couldn't be
Und die
Silly
Band
for a
war auch
while.
lange
It's a
gar
funny
nicht in der
name for an
Lage,
East German
sozusagen
band,
als die
Silly.
Band Silly, lustigerweise für Ostdeutschland ja ein lustiger Name, Silly wie bekloppt auf Englisch.
Ja.
Und dann, als Tamara 10 Jahre
Then, when Tamara
schon
Dance
tot
had
war,
been
haben
dead for
die
about 10 years,
eben,
they
das
felt
war
like
so
a
ein
flame
Feuer,
had
was nie
never really gone
ausgegangen
out,
war. Und das
and
hat
they had to
immer
do
irgendwie
something
gelodert.
again.
Und irgendwie nach 10 Jahren dachten die, wir müssen wieder was machen. Und haben
They
sich,
wanted to be a bit like
wollten
Massive
eigentlich
Attack
wie
was,
Massive Attack, so eine
with
Art
lots
machen
of
mit
guest
vielen
singers.
Gastsängern.
Like,
Also
we're
wir sind
Silly and we've
und wir
invited
laden
someone
uns
to
jetzt
sing our
ein, wir
songs.
singen immer unsere Songs.
And that's how we met and fell in love so much that I
dabei sind wir uns
stayed.
eigentlich begegnet und dann haben wir uns so ineinander verliebt, dass wir sozusagen, ich bin so übrig geblieben.
That's great. Silly are often described here in Germany as an Ost-rock group, an East-rock group. Yeah, does that fit?
No. Also ich mag
I don't
das
like the
überhaupt
term.
nicht. Ostrock gibt's für mich nicht. Das,
I don't think
ist
there
so
is such a
wie,
thing as
wenn man
Ostrock.
sagen würde, Westrock oder,
You can't throw a bunch of musical styles into one pot and stir them all together.
Man kann Musikstile nicht in einen Topf schmeißen und umrühren.
Of course, you can say that the
deshalb mag ich
music
diesen
that developed
Begriff
in
nicht. Also
East
man kann
Germany and
natürlich
was
sagen, dass
successful
die,
there
Musik,
did have certain
die im
special
Osten sich
characteristics,
entwickelt hat und die da
such as the
erfolgreich war,
lyrics.
dass die bestimmte Merkmale hatte, die vielleicht besonders sind. Also wie zum Beispiel der Text.
The lyrics
also
in East
Texte,
Germany,
in
our songwriter
Ostdeutschland,
Werner
der
Karma is a
ja auch
master of
Texte,
metaphors,
ein wirklich
and that was
unglaublicher
something that had to be
Künstler, der
used in a
Metaphern,
society where
und
you
das wurde
couldn't
natürlich
speak
entwickelt in
directly.
dieser Kultur, wo man nicht alles sagen durfte.
And then there were the
Und,
various
gab's dann
layers in the
Unterschiedlichkeit,
songs,
in den
where you
Texten,
could
also die
interpret the
Texte
songs on different
konnten auf
levels.
Weisen interpretiert
And that
werden
is unique.
und, fanden auf
And I would say
verschiedene
that came
Themen
out of
statt.
the
Das ist
East.
schon sehr speziell. Und das hat auch,
But
sag ich
Ostrock,
mal, das ist,
that doesn't exist.
dem Osten entsprungen. Aber Ostmusik, Ostrock gibt's eigentlich nicht.
Okay. Ostrock.
Es gibt nur gute Musik und schlechte Musik.
There's only good music and bad music, says Anna Loos. Yeah, and another person who calls Brandenburg her home is Anna Loos. You still have family in Brandenburg? You go to Brandenburg very often, you were telling me earlier. How has the city changed for you in the last 20 years? We heard a little bit about it in that report.
Also für mich war Brandenburg natürlich
Well, of course,
früher im
Brandenburg
Osten waren
used to
die
be.
Städte
In
generell
East Germany, the
grau
towns were
und es war
generally
überhaupt keine
grey.
Werbung und so. Also diese
There was no
ganzen Gerüche
advertising
und
or
die
brightly
Gerüche,
colored things.
ich sag immer, der
And the
Geruch des
smells.
Westens hat in Brandenburg Einzug genommen.
I always
Das
say
ist
the
so,
smell of the West has
das kann man
arrived in
sich schwer vorstellen,
Brandenburg.
wenn man nicht aus dem Osten kommt, aber wir haben
It's
ja
hard to
früher so
imagine
von
if you didn't grow up in the
Verwandten so
East.
Westpakete bekommen. Wenn man
We
die
used to get these
aufgemacht
care
hat,
packages
dann
from
hat
our
es gerochen
relatives in
nach
the
Westen,
West,
nach so einer Mischung
and when
aus
you opened them
Kaugummi,
up, it just
Kaffee,
smelled of the West.
Leder,
It's a mixture of
Turnschuhen,
chewing gum,
Schokolade,
coffee, leather, training shoes, and chocolate. And that's what everything smells like now. Even Brandenburg does, and Brandenburg is more colorful now too, and so are the people. But apart from that, not much has changed for me. We've got a lot of water, as you saw in the report, and we always made the most of that as children. My family loves water sports. They water ski. They have boats. It was like that back then already.
Das war eigentlich früher so, wie es heute auch ist.
Interesting, though, you're saying it hasn't changed too much, but one thing that did change is, we heard it in that report, that many people went away.
Yeah.
What effect did that have on the people who stayed?
It all happened after the wall fell. The steel mill was very big and gave work to lots of people. That was just one of the places that closed. There was a lot more that didn't work, and people didn't have any jobs, any future. And the younger ones just wanted to go away. The borders were open. They could go to England, to Munich, to America. Funnily enough, many of them have come back after 10, 15 years. A lot of my old school friends came back and have built up a living in their hometown. I think this phase where the young people leave is almost over. These people have really come back.
Die ist fast schon vorbei. Also die Leute sind wirklich zurückgekommen.
And just tell me about you. When you arrived in the West, did you have problems sort of settling in the West, fitting in the West?
Ja, auf jeden
Definitely.
Fall. Also das war super schwierig.
It was a really difficult time for me. I was still relatively young and hated when people had to explain to me how the West worked. But it was all new, a completely different school system. I was without my family. I don't know if we have time for this, but when I first got some money, I wanted to spend it on a pair of denim jeans. In the East, there was only one shop that sold teenage fashion, and I thought C&A was the West's teenage fashion shop. So I went to Hamburg and I got lost in this department store for 2 hours. It had everything in every color and every size, and it smelled of the perfume counter on the ground floor, and I was delirious. I got on the train home without having bought anything and didn't go back into the city for months. It was an impression that confused all my senses. The West smelled differently. It looked differently. And for someone still at school, the changes were huge.
Fascinating stuff. And the question is, does Brandenburg have a theatre like this one that we've just been seeing?
Yes, almost nicer than Rudolstadt.
And how important is it for the town?
Very important. Theaters, very important for every town, even the small ones. And I think it's important to have multi-use playhouses with a theater and an orchestra. There are many sides to a theater that don't work without an orchestra, and I think it's terrible to cut the funding for it.
It's also very important. We saw in the report that there are lots of people working on the costumes and lots of people working on the wigs.
Exactly, and Rudolstadt Theater has run itself really well in the last few years and worked with very interesting people and plays. They are actually on the way up, winning over new audiences and young people. It's a shame to cut back on such a place.
Und es ist so schade, wenn man so ein Haus dann die Subvention kürzt.
You could go back to Brandenburg and play a role in the local theatre, couldn't you?
Könnte ich machen.
I could if it was an interesting role.
Würde ich das machen. Ich habe schon gespielt mit meiner Band.
I've played in Brandenburg's theater with my band, funnily enough. We played an electroacoustic set, unplugged, if you like, in the theater, and it was very nice.
Also, sage ich jetzt mal, Unplugged-Version von unserem Konzert im Theater gespielt, und das war sehr, sehr schön.
That sounds very nice. Okay. Your job, acting and theatre, is about dreams as well. And now I'm going to tell you that I can click my fingers and you can have any performance, you can do anything you want in acting or singing with anybody you want, yeah? And it would happen.
Okay.
What would your dream be?
I would like to sing a duet mit Frank Sinatra.
Sounds good, yeah? A duet with Frank Sinatra. That sounds very, very nice. What about Liza Minnelli, yeah?
Liza Minnelli?
I mean,
yes, that's possible. She's still alive.
Yeah, exactly. We'd better wrap up, yeah? We're running out of time a little bit. Talking of Liza Minnelli, I have a quiz question for you. Okay. Our quiz, quick questions, quick answers, yeah?
Okay.
Brandenburg or Berlin?
Both.
Singing or acting?
Both.
Yeah, it's going to be one of these both things, yeah? Here's one, yeah? Love at first sight. Does it really happen or is it a lot of rubbish?
It's really happened.
I read about you with your husband. You said you felt it was love at first sight, yeah? Oh, I don't know if I believe it. Tamara Dance or Liza Minnelli?
What?
Tamara Dance or Liza Minnelli?
Oh, Tamara Dance.
Your life has been more about leaving or arriving?
Arriving.
Arriving. Very nice, yeah? She's been charming, hasn't she? The multi-talented Anna Loos. If you've enjoyed her company as much as I have here on Talking Germany, then do come back next week. Cheers.